lonesome road set my soul on fire. Thinking back before I left, the passions I desire. Can you help me anymore?
Who is that guy? He's a genius.
I love that song. I love that song. Well, hello and welcome to episode number 8 of our Yorm and John podcast of Roads and Roads with our great theme music provided by the captain himself. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to be seen. Good to see you too.
Can you believe this? We're in episode 8 already.
Wow.
And all the great information that's come out. We've had such a good time doing it.
Breathtaking.
We appreciate everybody's nice, positive feedback about the program, and we thank you. Please tell all your friends about it so you could help increase our listening, viewing audience, and we'll keep things going. Today, Yorma, I wanted to talk about a couple great milestones you had in your music career that were in the last month of August. And the two things we'll talk about today are, number one, the 60th anniversary of the first public appearance of the Jefferson Airplane.
Yikes.
And I believe that was on August 13th,
That would have been
1965.
That was Friday the 13th.
But it was lucky Friday the 13th.
For us, it sure was.
And another big milestone for you, Yorma, was of course the Jefferson Airplane's performance at the legendary Woodstock Music Festival.
Right.
In 1969, the weekend of August 15th through August 18th. So,
wow.
Yes, Yorma, some great old history here. So let's start things off and just jump into the Jefferson Airplane and Jefferson Airplane performance at the Matrix on August 15th, on August 13th, 1965.
Friday the 13th, as I mentioned.
Hope you didn't have any black hats in the studio.
No, it was a lucky day for us.
Lucky day for you. Now, of course, in reading your history and stuff, you guys had been rehearsing and doing all kinds of stuff prior to this.
Well, we hadn't played any gigs.
But hadn't played any gigs.
Yeah, we started, I couldn't tell you exactly when we started rehearsing in the summer of 65, and then actually it was a completely different band back in those days. Jerry Peliquin.
Yes, I want to talk to you about all that.
Signe Anderson was the female vocalist, and Bob Harvey playing upright bass.
Right. Well, we want to talk about them all as well, but I wanted to jump into the Matrix here with you, and since Neo and Morpheus aren't here today to tell us about the background, I figure you could tell us about the background of the Matrix.
So
I wondered about the ownership, number one.
So Marty had met, there's a couple of young businessmen, their names are lost in antiquity, and they got this little storefront club down on Fillmore Street, down at Cow Hollow. And I forget exactly how it worked, but one of the ways that Marty chummed a lot of the band members in was that we would be the house band and would be, at least on paper or something like that, part owners of the, I forget exactly how this worked, but we considered it to be our club at the time, and we certainly were the first people that played there. A little storefront kind of thing, not very wide. I couldn't tell you how many people it sat. Probably not that much more than the offstage or the Shelter in San Jose, but it did have a bar and a liquor license.
So it was something you guys had to completely put together.
By we, I mean, I don't know about the rest of the band. Like Marty was involved in it. I had nothing to do with the putting together of it. The investment guys.
Okay.
And
but you all were kind of involved in it as far as a band thing. But maybe Marty was.
We were the house band there for a while.
And maybe Marty was kind of like.
Well, Marty was the ramrod of the whole thing there.
Yeah. Now, when you say it was a home base for the Jefferson Airplane, so was this a place where on subsequent weekends you guys would play regularly, like at that kind of thing?
I think we played during the week.
Even during the week?
Yeah.
So like several days through the week?
Yeah.
So was it a performance as well as rehearsal space for you, or just kind of a performance?
Well, actually, we didn't. Ultimately, we did some rehearsing there, but we started out rehearsing in the front room of Marty's apartment in the Haight.
Mm-hmm. So this was a big step up, going to a club.
This was a big step up, absolutely, no question
and
about it.
And the Matrix, obviously, probably the Red Dog was already happening.
Yeah, the Red Dog had happened before. I'd never been up to Nevada City, so I didn't actually see it. And I couldn't remember. We'd probably have to do some AI searching.
Yes.
To find out when that first Family Dog show was, which I don't think it had happened yet, but I really don't remember. Yeah. So
was the Matrix pretty much one of the first of those rock clubs in San Francisco, would you say?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely predating the Fillmore and...
absolutely. Absolutely. And none of the shows, even before the Fillmore was the Fillmore, had happened yet. It was really...
So Matrix is like...
the first one out of the box, yeah.
Everything. Now, Yorma, I know...
Some people like this kind of stuff, just to get dates correct, need to... If they're lucky enough to find that Rockin' at the Red Dog documentary about the charlatans and all that, Virginia City, all that stuff, that's a great, a great historical thing. But to be honest with you, it's in that zone somewhere. But as far as the clubs are concerned, I think the Matrix was the first.
Yeah, especially it sounds like it. And you remember, did they, aside from the Jefferson Airplane, did other groups play there as well, like a regular club would?
Not in the very beginning. It was just it was like a club that had a the cocktail band that played there every night, and that was us. Ultimately the Matrix hired other artists. So I saw Howlin' Wolf there.
Oh, pretty
cool. Saw Lightning Hopkins there.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, Lightning told Jack, "Come on the road with me. This rock and roll gig will never get you anywhere."
Well, I'm glad Jack didn't pay attention.
He didn't pay attention.
He stayed back with you guys, yeah. Yorma, I know it's a long, long time ago, but I just thought I'd get your initial feelings on how big that was for you guys to go to this point where you were out there playing in front of everybody. You got your set together and charging people to come in at the door and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'd been doing, I mean, obviously it was a step up for sure. Me and Paul and some of the other folkies that sort of like insinuated our way into the Nouvelle rock scene, or Nouveau, to check to see if that's masculine or feminine. Can't
Either
remember.
one you could use.
Either one.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, first of all, San Francisco is San Francisco, and we had never. It's kind of funny to think about it this way, but it suddenly occurred to me. We played all these gigs down the peninsula, but the Matrix had a liquor license. A lot of the places we played, like down the peninsula, if it was a pizza place, they had a beer license. That was it.
Right. Probably playing some gymnasiums and things.
We played some gymnasiums, but actually we played gymnasiums with the Airplane. I never did that solo, but I played a bunch of pizza places.
Yeah, and. So you're at the time you're doing the Matrix, but you guys are also touring the West Coast, like California. Like
when we first started out, we hadn't been anywhere.
Yeah, this is like the beginning.
Yeah,
yeah.
The first time we went on the road was to Vancouver. Signe was still in the band. Skip was in the band, and I'm trying to think. I imagine it was probably right after. Either somewhere around the time it takes off. I don't even think Takes Off is out yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Matrix was kind of like the home base and stuff, but you were going out playing other cities at other times as well.
We never went anywhere yet.
No. Okay.
But I mean, that was...
Not like dropping down to L.A. to play or San Jose?
No, we couldn't have gotten a gig in L.A.
Really? So
nobody knew us.
Uh-huh.
So that's important.
That was going to change here real soon.
It was, and actually, now to think about it, because sometimes, looking back at it, it's easy to start compressing all these dates and stuff like that, but to have a place to play regularly, to wit, the Matrix was a big deal. We weren't going anywhere yet. Nobody would hire us. Nobody knew us. We were brand new.
You're building things up at this point.
Yeah, we wouldn't have got a gig anywhere else.
Bringing it up.
Bring it up.
Building the foundation.
You know how you want things to start.
Yes. Now, so you are with the band playing there. Were you guys like, would you fill the house every night type thing? Were there enough fan base at that point and stuff, at least on the local angle?
That's a good question. And I'm guessing that we probably did not fill the house every night to begin with, but we kind of, because it was a neighborhood, it was a bona fide neighborhood bar. And you start to build, you know how it is. I'm sure when you were in your youth, you played places like that.
Yes.
And you know how it is, once you build up a local following, then all your buds show up, you know.
Yep.
I mean, I remember when we go to do an open mic or an audition for a gig, you got every friend you possibly could to come with you. Go, yay, these guys are great. I love these guys.
Yep. So you went through all that too, huh?
Everybody does.
Yep. All right. Well, let's talk about this, since we're talking about the Jefferson Airplane. 60 years, boy. That is it's like an institution at this point.
Incredible.
We'll talk about all the members that were in the band, but
sure.
It really at this point in life, and praise Jah for this, but you are really the last of the original members
It looks
that
that way.
took that stage at the Matrix.
It looks that way.
In 1965. Of course, Jack and Grace and the change in drummer as well coming in after that.
Right.
But from the initial band that would have played the Matrix.
I mean, Skip wasn't even in the band yet when we opened up.
Right. So anyhow, well, listen, to get me in the mood for this, we're going to ask to throw on one of the great Jefferson Airplane songs, and even still on the first album, I still think it is one of the greatest songs of the band's career. And we're going to play a song. Signe was on the first album, Takes Off.
Sure.
We released on August 15th of 1966. It seems like August is a good month for you.
It does.
Woodstock, Matrix, first record comes out a year later. So listen, to put us in the mood, let's hear a little bit of a great song from the Takes Off record. Are you ready?
Let her rip.
It's no secret how strong my love is for you. It's no secret when I tell you what I'm gonna do, 'cause I love you, yes I love you. It's no secret, everybody knows how I feel. It's no secret when I say my love is real, 'cause I love you, yes I love you. It's no secret when you got me.
Boy, I just love that song.
So-
and even though we're going to digress for a second, I just have to say, when we were so lucky to get Marty to come with this trio up to the good old Fur Peace Ranch, and you and Jack started the night's festivities off, and then Marty played, and he brought you and Jack up for that It's No Secret, and God bless him, boy, he had some of the greatest pipes in the history of rock and roll in my book, and I could just see him up there singing that. And I think I shared this with you, but to share it with our audience out there, it was so cool because Marty was really jazzed about you guys being with him.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me, and he said about during the It's No Secret, he said, I forgot how good a dancer Jack was. Because Jack was very animated. He looked like a 29-year-old kid that night. He was jumping up and down, man. It almost hurt my knees to watch him.
It hurts my knees just thinking about it.
But anyhow, it was so special, and what a great song. I mean, obviously it has that kind of hit appeal of radio at the time and stuff.
Yeah, it's a well-written period song. Yeah.
And hearing Signe come in there on that end of that chorus there, I know in reading for Marty and Paul, they wanted a female singer in the band. Always. And she sure did a great job. And so anyhow, I just, when Grace came in and they would perform a song like that, it seemed like she commanded a little bit more of a harmony vocal with Marty. But I just want your opinion about the difference in, let's say, like Signe and Grace's vocal performance. How
It's
play.
apples and oranges. I mean, Signe was a great singer, don't get me wrong. She was like, I guess what we would have called in that period of time a commercial folk singer, like Mary, Peter, Paul, and Mary. I mean, she had that rich voice and all that kind of stuff. And but Grace had a thing, you know. For example, like Tina Turner has a thing, you know.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing was a lot more than just the vocal. I mean, her presence and everything.
I'm getting a brain fart here.
Wait, lean over here.
At Last, Vanessa, who sung At Last?
Etta James.
Yes, Etta James has a thing.
Yeah.
You know, until you hear that voice and boom, you know exactly
Yeah.
who it was all the time. So Grace definitely had that thing, and you know, and that's just how it was. I mean, again, you know, Sig was a great singer, and for that first incarnation of the band, she was exactly what the band needed. Now, here's a thought also. So Skip Spence played on that first record. He's on.
Yep.
So check this out. When Skip got in the band, Skip had never really played drums before. You know, Marty was looking for another drummer. I don't know what the deal was, whether it was an image thing for Jerry. I mean, I really don't know because that wasn't my decision. But I remember he met Skip in North Beach at a hoot or something like that. He liked the way he looked, and he said, "Do you play drums?" And Skip said, "Basically, not yet." And I think he said, "Well, learn because you're going to be in the band." But I mean, I'm just listening to that record now. It's like I wouldn't realize that essentially in terms of like how many years one has spent working on their craft, that this guy was basically
right. That great role in that. It's no secret.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
That's hard to believe from a guy that just picked up the drum.
Right.
But
and here he is on a major label release.
yeah. Why did he ever go to Mexico? Well, that's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Let's talk about that original group, Jorma.
Sure.
So, you know, you got Signe, you got Jorma, you got Paul Kantner, you got Marty Ballin. So Bob Harvey listed as original bass player there, and he's replaced by Jack in October later in that year. But he was playing an upright bass.
Yeah, he played an upright bass, and in fact, right before Jack came in, Bob had just gotten a Rickenbacker, where he just started to play electric bass, and Bob, he was such a good guy that he lent Jack that bass to play with the band when Jack first came out.
Yeah, that was really cool. That the time we met him up at Lancaster.
Yeah, he was a local guy. I think he just passed away recently.
He just passed away recently, yeah. And I know you guys hadn't seen each other in a while, but that kind of surprised me. I didn't realize that there was an upright bass in the beginning there.
Yeah, it was a folk rock band.
Yeah, I know, but even the miking of it and stuff, was that difficult? Or because I mean, this is before you have those nice plugins that all these bass players have now. And
you know something, I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
I find it hard to imagine. You know, Sam Grisman was just here. He's playing an upright bass, but I noticed there was a wire going to his bass.
Oh, yes, they got all that stuff
So the simple answer is I don't remember.
Yeah. But even the imagery of seeing you guys up there and the guy on bass, it's kind of a funny thing to think about, you know? And Jerry, is it Peliquin is how you would say it?
Peliquin
name.
Yes, he was the drummer.
And he's replaced by Skip Spence in October of 1965. And I guess it's in Got a Revolution, the Tamarkin book. He said that he differences with the band members. He wanted to leave the group.
Yeah, something I guess. I mean, I'll defer to Jeff on that because I don't remember.
Yeah, and at that time you bring in Jack. Now Signe on the first record, but she leaves in May of '66. In fact, it said her last performance was October 15th of 1966, and the next night, Grace is joining the band on October 16th of 1965 for her first appearance with the band. So, boy, things happened really quick. Did you have an indication she was going to be leaving, and you already backed up Grace to come in? Because I mean,
you know something?
One night it's Signe, and the next night you went, it would have been Grace there.
Well, Signe was starting a family, and the family was her first priority, which for a mother is not a bad thing.
No, we understand priorities.
And So I think the transition really went very quickly. I mean, Grace, of course, had been performing with the Great Society.
Right.
And
you guys worked together a lot with them.
we did, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Grace was always dynamite. And I guess we delegated Jack to go over, catch the Great Society gig, probably at the Avalon Ballroom, and see if Grace wanted to quit that band and join ours, which he did.
You put Jack on that mission, huh?
Oh, Danny, which he accomplished very well. And then he
Good going,
did,
Jack.
and then she did.
Yeah. Very good. Well, must have been a very great conversation to pull her in like that.
I guess.
You know,
it was the '60s. Anything could have happened.
Yes, yes. Well, you know, you are adding Grace Slick in 1966. Again, this is in the biography, but they say it was a pivotal moment for the Jefferson Airplane
Absolutely.
at that point.
Absolutely.
Not only because of her voice, but her stage presence and
the whole thing,
and all the things that you talk about that she really added to the impact of the live performance.
Yeah, she's mysterious. She's like a lady sphinx.
That's a good look.
Yeah.
And Yorma, as far as the Jefferson Airplane name, I know we've heard about this before, but nothing better than hearing it from the original member.
Indeed.
You're credited with giving the name to the group. And how'd that come about? Did you get any, did other things get thrown in the mix, or everybody just jump on when they heard you say it?
It's a story. It's a story I've told many times before, but I love repeating myself, so I'm going to tell it again.
Please.
So, I don't know, a couple years before, Tom Hobson, great San Francisco guitarist, sad to say no longer with us, Steve Richmond Talbot, great Berkeley guitarist, again, sadly no longer with us, and Steve Mann, another great guitarist from LA, again, sadly no longer with us. We were just sitting around and chewing the fat, and and we were thinking about like names of performance, like Guitar Watson or Johnny Guitar Watson or whatever, and we're just thinking about how badass do you have to be before you can actually get a nickname like that, and we're just sitting around, probably smoking dirtweed pot, hard to remember. Pre-dispensary, John, before your time.
Yes, you are.
And so we started to think about names, funny names for blues singers. And Steve Mann goes, "Well, I could be Little Son Goldfarb." That's pretty good. And Tom, of course, being the wag that he was, he said, "Well, I could be Blind Outrage." Not
I
bad.
like that.
And Steve Richmond looked at me and said, "You could be Blind Thomas Jefferson Airplane." Now, we never did anything with this. The names never were written down. It was just a moment in time. And so one of the things that happened with the Jefferson Airplane, and I'm sure we're not the only band that did this, is there's nothing more frustrating and hard and just horrifying than a band meeting.
Even back then, huh?
Yeah, anytime. A band meeting it's like trying to teach a pig to dance. It's frustrating for you and it pisses off the pig, And so we're sitting around and stuff like that. They're throwing all these names, and I remember Marty goes, "How about the other side?" And everybody went, "We're a San Francisco band. They'll think we're gay." Not that there's anything wrong with it. And I just finally said, "How about Blind Thomas Jefferson Airplane?" And then in the discussion, it got shortened to Jefferson Airplane, and nobody argued. That was it.
Yeah. So at this point, when you guys are first talking, it's just the three of you and your two buddies sitting around when you get your own moniker.
Yeah.
And then you bring up the Jefferson Airplane
right,
for the
and it was a
band.
moniker that never left that room. It was never used. It never saw the light of day.
Kind of like an inside thing with their.
Yeah, just sitting around, chewing a fat with your buddies.
Well, the good thing is, Jefferson Airplane, boy, it does have a great sound to it, and You know, you put that in there. It wasn't any like, oh, changing this or doing that. It was
No.
Jefferson Airplane, and
And
from
that was
that
it.
point on,
That was
the
it,
foundation was laid,
Right.
and the building started coming up.
Correct.
Okay.
Well said.
All right. Well, listen, as we're talking about the Jefferson Airplane here,
The old Jefferson Airplane.
I wanted to talk about well, we got the band members have changed at this point, and by this
Right.
point, you know, and by the time the second record comes around, everybody's in place.
Right. That's the core band,
core
in my
band.
opinion. Yeah.
Yes. Now, the Jefferson Airplane was first managed by Matthew Katz, who was the first manager.
Right.
And I imagine
At that point, the discussion, we need to point out that Matthew Katz, spelled K-E-T-Z, never pronounced it Katz. He pronounced it Cates.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Well, if he likes it Cates, would say Cates.
I guess.
Matthew Cates.
So, so the way that happened is Marty had, I guess Matthew was hustling Marty, and he said that he had an unreleased Bob Dylan tune that we could record. It was called "Lay Down Your Worry Tune." We
Okay.
never recorded it, but it was one of our first songs.
Right.
And that he was going to give everybody in the band, you're going to love this, a weekly stipend of $50 a week, which in those days was a lot of money. The rent for my apartment, I think, was like $65-$70 a week or something like that. I mean, a month.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something.
And you know, again, you know, you're talking about a bunch of guys and gals who, you know, I think Signe had a day job. Some of the other people had day jobs and stuff like that. I had been working a lot, was able to support myself with what I made playing the guitar, but nobody's making a lot of money back in those days. So that was a lot of money. And everybody just went, whoa, the only thing that could have made it better is if people bought us dinner every night or something like that, you know, but it just seemed like a good deal. Wow, we got a manager and he's going to get us gigs and he's giving us $50 a week.
And the $50 a week was in addition to the money you'd get for your gig.
So actually, funny you should mention that, because the simple answer is probably not.
Really?
Like there's a lot of
Wow.
the lawsuits with Matthew Cates went way up through the 80s,
Right.
and were finalized in the 90s. We never saw any royalties from Matthew for decades.
Wow.
From our records, because of all that stuff being tied up, and it's you know, I'd have to get one of my legal friends who remembers that stuff better than me.
Yeah, we
but,
don't need to visit.
But
too much.
anyway, yeah. So Matthew, to give the devil some credit, he got us gigs, he got us started, but to not forget that he's the devil, he ripped us off mercilessly.
Yeah, boy, if you're working several days a week and getting $50 a week, it all of a sudden doesn't sound as good. I mean,
Yeah.
But anyhow, I realize what you're saying. Back in those days, $50 was a lot
Yeah.
of money. Yeah, and it's especially that offer must have sounded awfully good. He should have added the dinner, though, for sure.
Yeah, should have.
So anyhow, you let Matthew go, and Bill Graham comes in early 1967
Right.
as your manager.
Oh, just a quick thing about
Yeah.
the Matthew thing. You know, like when I talked about going to Vancouver, Matthew got us this gig in Vancouver, and the band, we all went up. Signe was just still in the band at that point, and Matthew got a hotel. They got a hotel for Signe, but all the other band members were on their own to find somebody to stay with and couch surf. That's how it was done back in those
Boy,
days.
oh boy.
I know.
Yeah, boy, that's an interesting way of doing it. You know, I guess you have to work really hard by the end of the set. You know, start
Well, you
working
know,
on things throughout.
yeah. I mean, honestly, looking back at it, it wasn't that bad because I mean, we weren't kids, but we were young.
Yeah.
And as you know, the party never ended back then,
Sure.
so it was
Yeah.
like, you know, hanging out at somebody's place, partying, blah blah and blah.
I guess a real big moment would be in February of 1968 when Bill Graham is fired, and apparently I had seen Grace gave an ultimatum to the band that either he goes or
Right.
I go, and
Right. Well, I don't remember that, but I'm sure that's true.
yeah.
And Bill, you know, he certainly elevated as a management person. he certainly elevated us in the business at that time, but he was very dictatorial. And at some point, I think towards the end, I think, you know, one of the final blows for me is that he wanted us to wear band uniforms and, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
He had to go.
He had to go. I'm sorry.
He had to go.
I'm not dressing up for anybody.
Yeah. Well, you do pretty good here. You know, you're doing very good. I'm glad.
Vanessa made me wear this.
Okay, well, she has good taste. She's coordinated your black T-shirt very well with this here.
Yeah. It's a Robert Graham shirt. Look at this.
Yes, this is our podcast, Jordan. We need to, you know, keep it uplifted
man.
here. You better believe it. After Bill's departure, you bring in Bill Thompson, who had worked as a road manager and stuff.
Sure.
And he pretty much
Bill was a copy boy at the Chronicle, and he was Marty's roommate, and so he'd just been hanging around. And you know how it is. I mean, you were in bands when you were younger. You need somebody to manage you. You got some friend that can actually form a sentence correctly, grammatically correctly.
Spell your name right.
All right, you're the manager. That's how it's going to be, you know. So.
But he must have done a good job because he pretty much stayed with you throughout the time, didn't he?
Well, that's an interesting thing also, because one of the things that we did back then was we made everything an equal split with the band at that time and treated Bill as one of the band members. Now, so he got an equal split of all this stuff. This is something that no adult musician would ever do today, ever. But it was the 60s, and that's how it was, and that was the deal. So yeah, we were with Bill for a long time, and he, you know, certainly did a decent job for us, and
yeah,
et cetera, et cetera.
I just want to tell our listeners a couple times, and even with the Grace quote, Norma, I did check and footnote on that, and it's in the Jeff Tamarkin book, and I want to mention that because I imagine our learned audience may already know about the book.
They might.
Jeff Tamarkin's great book, Gut a Revolution, The Turbulent Fight of the Jefferson Airplane.
It's a good book. He did a good job.
It's really well researched and put
Agreed.
together.
Agreed.
And it's nice to have a good source like that for some of this ancient history.
Indeed.
Because we are going back 60 years, man. Respect you. That's like boy, when I heard about that, 60 years since the first gig, that's a long time.
Just thinking about it wants me.
And you're still gigging. You're still gigging.
Think about taking a nap, just thinking about it.
Yeah. Well,
no, I'm still gigging. No, it's like, I remember I was doing up a gig with Tommy Emmanuel up in Columbus a year or two ago, and he and I were hanging out, and people were talking to him, talking to Tommy, and they asked Tom, "Did you ever think about retiring?" He goes, "From what?" And I went, "Why? So I can spend more time playing the guitar?"
Right. Yeah, no. You got to keep on going. We're going to jump to that other milestone from the year of 1969, the Woodstock Music Festival.
Old Woodstock.
And I want to get into this with you. Woodstock. The Woodstock Music Festival will be such a iconic moment in rock history, and you know, just something everybody talks about. Of course, for the Jefferson Airplane, it should be noted that what the rock historians call the three major rock festivals of the 60s time, the Monterey Pop, Woodstock, and Altamont, of all these great groups from across the ocean and in the homeland that played at the festival, the Jefferson Airplane was the only group that played all three of those major rock festivals.
So the Woodstock thing. So we had, one of the guys who was involved in the production of the Woodstock was this guy John Morris, and this other guy Chip Monk, and we had worked with both of those guys doing stuff overseas with the airplane and stuff like that, and so when they got involved with Michael Lang to do the Woodstock thing, we got dealt in early on that stuff. And I remember that I guess it was probably, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, so the Jefferson was on tour when Woodstock happened. 2 or 3 weeks before that, give or take, we went up to the Bethel area, and they were building the stage and looked at it and all this kind of stuff. And and of course, wow, this is going to be great. Of course, nobody had any idea what was going to happen. I mean, in some respects, it was not that great, but I'm sure we'll talk about that also. But in the memory, there was never anything better.
Right.
I mean, we talk about the Woodstock thing. What did you think about Woodstock? You know, I get the question. Actually, you're asking me that question right now.
Yes, I'm going to ask you in another minute.
And the answer is, on the one hand, it's like everything is so totally screwed. I hope I never have to work a festival like this again. And the flip side of that coin is, boy, I'm glad I played Woodstock.
Right. Right. Yeah, years always and time always changes how you see things. And I imagine when you went up and saw them building that stage and stuff, it must. And you'd played Monterey, but that was a much more smaller and a jazz festival turned rock festival type
I'm
thing.
sure. I mean, you'd have to look this up, but I doubt if there was more than. I'm going to say 10,000.
Yes, I think that's what they put it at.
Yeah.
Yep. Between 5 and 10.
Monterey.
Yeah, that even though it seems like a good crowd and everything.
Well, at the time it was like,
yes,
whoa.
Right. But by the 1969, the Woodstock, I mean, this has jumped to a gigantic festival. And so the Jefferson Airplane, I want to talk to you about the logistics of you arriving and all that stuff. And,
right.
And I also want to ask that, well, you know what, let me do that first before I jump into this next part of the question.
Well, make up your mind, John.
Yes, well, I am making it up. I'm going to go first to the logistics and then to the performance.
Okay, let's go logistics.
You getting up there and stuff, how was that trip to get up? And I guess you were coming out of New York because you'd played there the day.
No, we'd already, I think we'd been at the Atlantic City Pop Festival right before that, and we were, everybody, not everybody, but so many of the acts were staying at this Holiday Inn in a little town called Liberty, New York. And it's kind of funny thinking about stuff back then. I mean, a Holiday Inn is like a conservative landmark of America. But I think if a helicopter had flown by this particular Holiday Inn, the whole thing would have been wreathed in marijuana smoke. I mean, it's like.
That's probably why Howard Johnson wouldn't let you stay there.
And that was against the law back then. Anyway, so all the bands were staying there, et cetera, et cetera. And when we went to go down to the festival to do our show, some of the guys flew in helicopters, but we had a bunch of stuff we had to do. We had to go to New York afterwards to do the Dick Cavett show. So we drove down. We drove our own cars from Liberty to Woodstock, and of course we had. I can't imagine driving anywhere without my GPS or my phone these days, but in those days,
especially on those roads up there,
nobody could even spell cell phone back in those days.
Right.
So yeah, we had a map and a guide and all this kind of stuff, and we drove down, and whatever circuitous route that we took.
Now I got to ask you this: when you say you drive, so you guys didn't have like a little van or anything?
No, nobody did.
So all individual members kind of driving themselves, or you?
I think that four of us were in. I think we just had two cars.
Two cars.
Yeah, two rental cars, and if you think about that kind of stuff, I guess back in those days, country acts had the Silver Eagle buses and all this kind of stuff. Rock and roll bands just drove around, or we did anyway. Yeah, so I drove to Woodstock. Back roads, nobody was there yet. The big crowd hadn't, because we didn't go on for how many hours was it?
Oh yeah.
Anyways, it was like a day late or something.
Right.
So when we drove in, there's no traffic on the back roads. Not the case when we drove out.
Right.
The cars parked on both sides of the roads. We had to, and I've said this and I will say it again. Anybody that was parked on a back road by Woodstock there that lost trim on their car, I apologize. It was probably us heading to
You were that
Manhattan.
guy, huh? Playing dodge 'em going down the road.
I guess.
The Jefferson Airplane comes on at 8 o'clock in the morning.
As opposed to
Instead of your nightly performance, you come out at 8 o'clock in the morning, and your set was 8 o'clock till 9:40
we were
a.m.
crispy critters by then.
And actually, at that point, you guys are the last group because Rain comes after that, and they start up again like about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which would have been on Sunday at this point. But Yorma, you come on, and you come on after the Who, and before the Who was Sly and the Family Stone, and before Sly was Janis Joplin and the Cosmic Blues Band, and starting around midnight was at 12:30 was CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival. So you had quite a wait before you came on. Obviously, the headline spot was supposed to be at nighttime and not at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I think that was the plan.
But you came on anyhow. And as you said, you were Crispy Critters and stuff. But I got to say, I did a little research and went back and saw some reviews and stuff. And people commented that even though the airplane had been held up and their performance time delayed and stuff, that you guys took the stage and delivered a impactful performance that raised the group up even more than the position it was in already. They comment about Grace and Marty working like just miraculously that night together, and of course you and Jack and Paul and the whole, just like a very.
So I got to say, I mean, live music is a death-defying act, and some nights are obviously better than others. But the airplane always brought its A game to live shows. We were in my opinion, a really great live act.
To let me feel a little bit of that magic, I think we're going to listen to one of the songs that I really love from the Woodstock performance.
And what song might this be?
And that would be The Great Wooden Ships. And let me bring it in here for you.
Let's have a listen.
Have a flashback.
Something everybody everywhere does in the same language.
Well, I can see by your coat, my friend, that you're from the other side. There's just one thing I got to know. Can you tell me, please, who won?
Some of my purple berries, I've been eating them for 6 or 7 weeks now. Haven't got sick once, probably keep us both alive.
Cool.
I've been listening to the whole song.
I could
take up
too.
the rest of the program. And
it's a long song. Could take some.
It is, and in fact, I think I might have told you about this. I just saw where they released vinyl on the Woodstock Festival, and this real special box, because the record left off a lot of people's performances, and even the airplane, you got 3 songs where you did a full set and everything. Yorma, talking about Woodstock, I got to see our friend Joe McDonald, Country Joe, talking about Woodstock, CJ, and reminiscing about it. And he said he was there for all 3 days, and so he got to take in a lot. And he talks about seeing Hendrix at the last day in the morning.
Right.
And he said really at that point about half the festival had left. And some people say there was like 40,000 people there at that point, which is even a lot less than half, to see Jimmy's performance.
Only 40,000?
Right, only 40,000. And he said, seeing Jimi Hendrix, he said guitar would never be the same after that.
No, you're right.
Seeing
That's
him like
true.
that. Now, for you, did you get to catch some other artists? I mean, as far as your time, when you got in there, were you having I imagine because you were supposed to play at night and didn't play till morning, there was a lot of hanging around.
Yeah, it was hanging around was the name of the game. And I, again, it's really funny. The mind is a dangerous place to go by yourself, but
Yep.
my recollection is seeing Santana there.
Mm-hmm.
and they're the one that sticks in my mind.
Well,
For whatever reason.
They would have been there the afternoon you would have played.
Right,
so
yeah,
you could have when you came in or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and that's such a classic performance by Santana.
Totally.
I mean, that Michael Shreve drum solo in Soul Sacrifice, I mean, who ever did anything like that before?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Buddy Rich was jealous, you know?
So, one of the funny things about that is I think I met Mike Shreve through my brother. He was from down the peninsula, down where Palo Alto way or somewhere like that, something like that. And we brought him down to L.A. in the studio. We jammed with him, and he was unbelievable. I mean,
And he was a kid, right?
yeah, he was a kid when he played with Santana. This
Right.
was like a couple months before that. And I don't even know what the deal was, because Spencer was our drummer. I don't know why we were doing that, but I remember Paul saying, "Well, he's okay, but he's too young."
Because I think he was a teenager
He
when
was
he
a
was in
teenager,
Santana.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he was more than okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
I see him every now and then when I'm up in the Northwest. He's still okay.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a classic performance by them. Now, you remember as I mentioned, you came on before The Who. After The Who. And, Grace has that very famous comment where she says, "You've seen the heavy groups, now you're ready for morning maniac music."
That's us.
And I guess The Who would have been considered pretty heavy at that time.
Oh,
because,
absolutely.
again, they did have a dynamite performance.
Totally.
When I'm thinking about the people that played before you, Sly and the Family Stone as well, that I Want to Take You Higher, which you see on the movie, but his whole performance was electrifying.
Yeah.
And Janice with the Cosmic Blues Band, because of course at this point that's the direction she had headed in.
Yeah.
And her performance there again is unbelievable. For the Jefferson Airplane to take the stage at 8 o'clock in the morning and have all that music before them, and then you guys kick off with this just
Like I said,
killer performance.
We always brought our A game.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I wanted to ask you, Jorma, you reflecting, going back and thinking all these years ago, in your mind in recent history, when you look back at Woodstock, I know you say it was a mess, a lot of logistical problems and stuff, and you said you were glad you played it, but how do you feel about how it stands out in rock history? Does it deserve, the moment it's been given?
And I think it does. It does. And that deserving, I think, has nothing to do with the festival itself, but it has to do with the zeitgeist of the whole thing. Because in that moment, people of our quote unquote age bracket realized there was a them and an us. Mm-hmm. If you look at pop culture today, it is what it is, and I don't want to sound like the old decrepit sentimental fool that I'm becoming in my dotage. The things were better back then because they weren't. They were just different. But I mean that's a time that involved. You talk about the counterculture. That's a word that means nothing today, but it meant everything back then.
Sure.
Sure. And that's just how it was.
Yeah. It in itself was like a milestone landmark.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah. And so it's kind of like. Jack and I used to joke, it's kind of like we imagined Paris was in the 20s or something like that,
Yeah. Jorma, how did it feel to play in front of 500,000 people? I wish we could move our cameras to show this great scene we have here in the office of the crowd at Woodstock and Jorma's head with the crowd in the background, and maybe we could drop them in. But you playing at clubs and big rooms and stuff, but 500,000 people.
Yeah, so that's interesting. One thing, I need glasses. I'm not wearing them now because you're close enough so I can see you, but I've never worn my glasses on stage except occasionally if I needed sunglasses, just 'cause. And so it could have been 500,000 people or it could have been the Matrix on the one hand. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, I remember a number of years ago, we stopped by the Woodstock Museum and we had our daughter with us, and she's looking at all these pictures. First of all, it's a cool museum. If you're ever up there, you got to check it out. But she's looking at these pictures of us all hanging out. She goes, "Do you guys go out dressed like that?" And I said, "Go out. We dress like that all the time."
You didn't have Vanessa there to straighten you up, man.
We dress like that all the time. But and then I said, there have been many festivals. I'm sure there's some that have been bigger than that, but there'll be never any one that will live in history in the same way.
Right.
Just saying, I could be wrong, but so
No,
far,
I think
I'm not.
I think you're pretty much on with that. Wavy Gravy was like an MC, and I guess he was also part of the security team. And I know you guys are old friends.
We are.
And did you know him prior to Woodstock?
I mean, we've hung out since then, so we weren't friends like that. But of course, everybody knew Wavy.
Okay.
He was Wavy.
He was
the Hog Farm.
He was the guy too. All right.
Yeah, remember, what we have in mind is breakfast for 500,000 people or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His scene and boy.
Oh, breakfast in bed. Breakfast in bed.
Yeah. And God bless him. What a great MC. Still to this day, he just does a great job anytime he shows up. Yeah. April '69, and at that time you guys were working on Volunteers, the album.
Right.
Which would be released in November of '69. So you had already been working on the material by the time you hit Woodstock, Volunteers,
right, yes.
material and stuff. And as you did have Nicky Hopkins on the Volunteers record,
I was just about to bring that up.
You also had him
Yes.
at Woodstock, and how was that bringing him in for? And was that just one performance he came in for?
You know something? Again, I wish I could remember, but I don't.
Yeah.
But I was just listening. When we were listening to that cut there, I mean, Nicky was such a monster, and we were so fortunate to have him be involved in the recordings and at that gig, and. He was, of course, in incredible demand, and I don't even know how that happened, but I'm glad it did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and that piano really did. He had a nice touch, which is
totally
all over,
badass.
which is all over that record.
Totally
really, the
badass,
Volunteers
yeah.
record. The Jefferson Airplane set list that night at Woodstock. It is, I think, about 14 songs.
Is that all?
And yeah, and. You started it with The Other Side of This Life, and was that a song you guys used to open up a lot of shows? Because it seems I see it in a rotation like that.
It's a Fred Neil song, and we were all big Fred Neil fans. He was awesome, and it was one of the early songs that Paul brought into the very earliest incarnation of the band, even before his Jefferson Airplane, and it mutated into a jam. Like the intro to Other Side of This Life could be longer than the song.
Yes, but that's such a great intro. I mean, that's what makes it. And the set list, Other Side of This Life, Somebody to Love, 3/5 of a Mile, Won't You Try, Eskimo Blue Day, Plastic Fantastic, Lover, Wooden Ships, which we heard a little bit of earlier.
What's the great line out of Eskimo Blue Day?
Tell me.
Don't mean shit to a tree.
Okay, yeah. And you got away with putting that on a record.
We did.
Yeah. Uncle Sam Blues, your tune that you still play, and that kind of showed up on a later version of the Woodstock.
Correct,
where they added it in when they put the bonus tracks in there. The Volunteers, and I can only imagine with that group of people that Volunteers, even early in the morning, it must have just set the crowd crazy. Right. Yeah. Is that correct?
That is correct. It was it was again a Volunteers time of everybody's life.
Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Ballad of You and Me and Punio follows. Come Back Baby, another Yormish song there. White Rabbit and House of Punio Corners to end. And what a killer set.
Darn good set.
And no wonder why it was received so well. I was reading a reviewer, and he made this comment, and I know we're getting toward the end of the program here today, and this might be a good spot to end it, and I get your touch on this here, is the quote here is, frequently lost in the perception of Jefferson Airplane is the fact that they were first and foremost a live band, a hard-driving and inventive concept, and that rocked the crowd's asses off. Your live show. How do you feel about that?
I have to agree. Mm-hmm. I agree it was a live band, and we made a lot of records, I think, and some of which bear the test of time well, but one of the things I think that obviously nobody will ever get to see that band again, but it's worth listening to the live record, because I think that indicates.
Yeah,
What's the name of that live record?
That's Bless Its Pointed
That's
Little
right.
Head. And I always love that picture of Jack on the cover. Oh, but anyhow.
Yeah, but what's really funny about that picture, because people go, the picture, we should tell the people, some of them probably know, the picture of that album, it's like this banquet table at the Jefferson Airplane House at 2400 Fulton Street, and it's set, there's wine glasses and all this stuff, and Jack is laying there with his head down and his hand around a wine bottle. Boy, you really must have been screwed up. And Jack would be the first to point out, notice, the bottles are all closed and the glasses are clean.
Yes. See, you'd never notice. You have to look in a little further on that. Well, the records of the Jefferson Airplane really, and we've talked about Serialistic Pillow at this point. We've talked about Bark, but when I look at Crown of Creation, Bathing at Baxter's, there was a lot of intricacies in those records. I mean, you were really I wonder about the thing about, yes, maybe live you were at your best, and there's other bands like that. Say your contemporaries, the Grateful Dead. Of course, they have some great studio records also, but the live records really showed the band as they were. And I'd have to say, when you listen to Bless Its Pointed Little Head, if that is a testimony of what the band sounded like at that time, you guys were rocking it out.
Yeah, definitely. So we did good work in the studio also. But I think that, again, as a live band, I think that we're at our tops. I think that that conceptually, because even though I always got a song included on the records, that the concept really, Paul, Marty, and Grace were really involved in all this stuff. And, I think the Beatles with Sgt. Pepper opened a landscape of possibilities that I think that no recording artist had really thought about before. I mean, if you think about what a diverse album that is in so many ways, and or the Rolling Stones, Satanic Majesty's Request, Beggar's Banquet. Incredibly produced records with a lot of stuff that was way beyond what the Stones were when they were just a rock, and I don't mean just, what I mean, but
blues
a rock and roll
thing,
band. So there are a lot, being able to use production as a creative tool was amazing, and and certainly, I guess the Beatles and the Stones, I think for our band opened the doors for that, and everybody wandered in. After Bathing at Baxter's is, for lack of a better way to put it, has all kinds of weird shit on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's when you really look at how you put that.
Or
record,
even Crown of
Creation.
Creation.
Crown of Creation is another one. Boy, the production on it, and there's so much there. And how did such a produced record, and I don't mean produced like in a commercially produced sense, but when you're able to perform that live, was it take a lot of rehearsal to get that together?
I mean, a lot of the stuff that happens, I think, with records that involve lots of production and overdubbing. If you don't have a budget to have like a chorus or a string section or whatever, like some bands do, they tour with all this, so they can actually replicate.
Right.
We never did that, and I don't think we ever thought about doing it, and we just immediately adapted what the song gave us and turned it into a live thing, and approached it with a lot of passion and energy. Which for the kind of music we did worked.
Right. And also, it really is a good vehicle for your improvisation.
Absolutely.
And stretching things out beyond a 3-minute song.
And having said that also, I mean, a lot of it had to do with the time, but, to be able to play in a world-class band that allowed the musicians, notably Jack and Spencer and myself, to weave in and out with improvisation, extended stuff in the songs. What a blessing,
Oh yeah, and such a great rhythm to hold everything in place.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, Jorma, I'll tell you what. I'm glad we touched on the live aspect of the Jefferson Airplane, and in one of our future podcasts, I think we need to look at Double Dose.
Sure.
And some of the live Hot Tuna stuff as well, because again, that's another area where you have so many the live records that stand out as well as a great studio record would as well. So. We're going to wrap up number 8. And
What?
Boy, the time flies quickly. Let me see. My coffee might have got cold.
Let me see if mine's cold.
Still delicious. Anyhow,
It is cold, but good coffee
it must
is
be the
good.
Captain's Blend or the Fur Peace Ranch Campfire
Could
coffee.
be. It could be.
Could be. But anyhow, we thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to leave you with our great theme music, and have a great week, have a great weekend, a great day, and a great life. We'll see you next time.
Next time.
Walking down that lonesome road set my soul on fire.